Okay. Hi, everybody, and thanks for being here for our annual LiarsFest, sponsored by Seattle Storytellers Guild. We're really happy to have you here, and especially to have Laura Deal here to open our show. And tomorrow at 10 o'clock on Zoom, she will be doing a workshop whose name I forgot to note, but something like, where did you get that idea? If you want to sign up for the workshop, it sounds like it's going to be really fun. So Laura Deal is a storyteller, poet, and author. Her lies have deep roots in her lived experience, but veer off into humor wherever possible. Nothing gives her more joy than making audiences laugh while giving them a glimpse into her world. Her storytelling career has brought her audiences across North America in person and online, from the Women's Storytelling Festival and Fairy Tale Variations to the Good Liars Club series. Her repertoire also includes wisdom and folktales, family stories, and her living history portrayal of Marion Woodman, which I would really like to see. I don't know who that is. She is the 2024 recipient of the J.J. Renault Emerging Artist Award. You can find her stories on YouTube, Story Podcast, and the Apple Seat on BYU Radio. Her albums, The Diffendafer Taffy Cafe and Other Stories, and Simple, Clever, and Wise, received honors from the World Storytelling Awards. So I will turn it over to Laura and let her take us where she will, which will be someplace really crazy, I'm sure. Laura.
Thank you so much, Marty. Thank you for inviting me to this fun event. I'm really excited to hear all the stories tonight. So I'm in Boulder, Colorado. How many of you have been to Boulder? Oh, just about everybody. How many of you have heard weird things about Boulder? A few. Well, I'm here to tell you that all those weird things are true. And a few years ago, I was trying to think of a new business that I could start. And the problem is, it's really hard to stand out in Boulder. I mean, we have Nobel Prize winning scientists. One of our personal friends was the first person in the world to see the Bose-Einstein condensate in the lab. Well, he didn't get the Nobel Prize for that. His boss did, but he was the one that saw it. And another friend of ours worked on the Rosetta and New Horizons missions that sent spacecraft out into the far reaches of the solar system and beyond. And besides scientists, we have world-class athletes. We have Ironmen and women. We have cyclists, both mountain and road. We've got mountain climbers, rock climbers, social climbers, and we've got dancers and yogis and just about anything that you can imagine. We've got medical and recreational cannabis. And if you get the munchies, well, we have more grocery stores per capita than anywhere else in the world. And people will say the weirdest things in grocery stores. I was at King Soopers once, which is our version of Kroger, and this woman had one of those packages of those mini carrots. You know, I think they're just regular carrots shaved down to little nubbins. And she says to the grocer, "There's not enough ranch dressing in the world to make these taste like carrots." And then there was the little boy at Lucky's Market. He saw the bulk section. He said, "Gummy worms. Are they all natural?" Because it's Boulder. But the worst, or best, I'm not sure how to count it, was the woman who came up to my husband Kevin at Sprouts and said, I'm a big fan of jeans, and I really appreciate it when people wear them up around their waist. So thanks for that. You can imagine what I thought of that. Well, people will eat the weirdest things, too. I mean, we've got all the special diets covered, but some people, they want to live off the land. They have chickens to get their own eggs. One of my friends will only eat trout if she's caught it herself in a pure mountain stream. And another friend came home, this was back in grad school, and found deer hooves in the disposal of his kitchen sink. True story. His roommate, who belonged to a running cult, which I'm not even going to get into, she had decided to butcher an entire deer in their condominium. I mean, maybe because people do stuff like that. We also have any kind of healer that you can imagine. We've got medical doctors, we've got naturopaths, chiropractors, acupuncturists, shamans, whatever you need. And any kind of exercise program that you want. I mean, you know, probably, I'm sure, in Seattle and Washington, you can do hot yoga or goat yoga or Ashtanga yoga. Well, I heard pretty soon you'll be able to do hot Ashtanga goat yoga in Boulder on locally sourced organic hemp yoga mats grown right here in Boulder County. I mean, I thought maybe I could do something like yoga with kangaroos. But then I heard that somebody in Golden, and for those of you who don't know, Golden's just down the road, and it's where all the Coors beer is made. Somebody in Golden was already doing that. I mean, how do you begin to stand out when the weirdness of Boulder has already infected Coors country? I don't know. So I was trying to figure out what I should do, and what I do when I'm trying to figure something out is I'll meditate. And so I was breathing and clearing my mind and clearing my chakras. Now, I could lead you all through how to do that if we had more time and there weren't quite so many skeptics in the audience. I mean, it's all right. We've all been skeptics at one time or another. I mean, even my husband, Kevin, he's a skeptical scientist, works at the National Center for Atmospheric Research. He has noticed this phenomenon when he goes out on an errand. Doesn't matter if he's in the car or on his bike. He will notice someone maybe wearing a weird hat or a special bumper sticker. And on his way back from the errand, it doesn't matter if he's been out 15 minutes or 4.5 hours, he will see that same person in about that same place. It's happened so often that we figure he must just be the star of the Truman Show and there just aren't enough extras. So anyway, I'm meditating and I'm trying to ask the universe for ideas about what I should do for my business. And the only answer I get is that I should go for a walk. Now, I usually take my camera with me because I like to take pictures of the clouds or the flowers or the animals, whatever I see. But this was very clear. I shouldn't take my camera this time. And so I set out, and as I walked, I got the message that I should listen to what the Flatirons were singing. If you haven't been to Boulder, you may not know we have these huge slabs of rock to the west of town that they call the Flatirons because they're up there just like an old flat iron. And I have been able to hear their song from time to time if you get really grounded. And so I went up to go for this hike, and I I started up the Shanahan Ridge Trail. Now, for me, that's an aerobic workout. Going up the hill, I'm getting passed by all these moms in their Lululemon yoga gear and their 6-year-old kids who are training for the next 10K race and their dogs with legs about this long. And then the climbers, the ones who go bouldering, they carry those big mats on their backs that they put down when they boulder in case they fall. They're all powering past me too. But it's all right. I'm not competitive. I am listening to the Flatirons. And at some point I get the nudge that I can turn around and head back down. And so I start back down. Now it's afternoon, so the sun is behind me at this point, and I'm stretching, and at one point I stretch my hands way back so they're facing back, and I can feel the sun on the palms of my hands. And I really focus on drawing in that light and warmth and opening the chakras in my palms. I mean, you know about those, right? They're not as big as the chakras everywhere else in your body, but they're important. And so I'm drawing this light into my body, and because I'm a Gemini, my thoughts are going 2 directions at once. I'm thinking about the light of the solar system and the Big Bang, the scientific origins of the universe, and how all of that energy has somehow still been working in the sun and coming to us. And then I'm also thinking about it in spiritual terms, you know, creativity and love and all of that energy. And as I'm walking along doing this, I see a cloud, and it's kind of in the shape of an elephant. I mean, it's not perfect, but it definitely looks like an elephant. And so I decide I'm going to take this universe juice that I've been bringing into my body, and I'm going to send it out through my eyes and try to shape that cloud into a more perfect elephant. So I'm really focused on that. I'm concentrating on that. I can see that cloud start to take better shape. And if you're interested in learning how to do this, just let me know. I'll set you up next time you come to Boulder. But I'm walking along and I'm shaping this cloud, and it's getting better and better. And then I realize there's a man coming up the trail toward me. Now, this guy, he's definitely not a Lululemon kind of guy. He's got a dark-haired ponytail, and he's wearing jeans, no climbing equipment. And, you know, he's got that might as well be stoned Boulder vibe. And his aura is pretty murky. And he sees me with my hand still outstretched, drawing in all this energy, and he says, "What are you feeling?" I mean, where do I start? Well, I don't know how enlightened he is, so I just start with the basics. You know, I'm feeling that warmth of the sun on my hands, and he says, "Oh, I'm going to try that." I mean, it's Boulder, so he turns around, he sticks his hands out, and he's just as he says, "Oh, I can feel it too." Our energies just snap into alignment, and I can feel what he is feeling, and in that moment, we both look up at that elephant cloud, and it too just snaps into perfect elephant form. And then it comes down out of the clouds. It steps down onto the path in front of this guy, and he says, "Whoa, I just had a dream like this." And in that moment, I remember that I, too, just had a dream like this the night before. And sometimes the synchronicities in this town astonish even me. But, when you've done dream work a long time like I have, and, things happen. So this elephant walks up to him and takes her trunk and brushes it on his cheek. And then she comes around him and comes up to me. And she puts her trunk right there on my third eye, and then lays her trunk on top of my head. And I get a full download of what my new business should be. It is so clear. I can even feel the business card in my hand. And I say, thank you, that is brilliant, thank you. And she turns and she walks back to the guy and she brushes his other cheek. And then she climbs back up into the sky and is already returning into cloud and mist. And then she's gone. And the guy, he turns around and his face is just bejeweled in raindrops. And his aura is completely clear. Now, I take this moment to separate our energies again. Now, this is just a public service announcement. If you ever do an energetic healing, you need to separate your energies when you're done. Otherwise, all sorts of murky things can happen. And he looks at me and he says, "Did you see that?" And I said, "See that? I did that." He said, "Well, what did you do?" I said, "Now the important thing is, how are you feeling?" "Oh, good, really good, but I don't know what just happened." I said, "Well, that is what I do. It's tread therapy, transcendental rapture, enlightened dream cloud therapy. The C is silent." And I go to give him my business card, but my hand is just covered in raindrops. But it's okay. I know the next time his aura needs a little tune-up, the universe will bring us together again. And he thanks me. He asks if he can hug me, and I say yes, and then we go our separate ways, and I thank the universe again for giving me this new business. If you want to come to Boulder and try it out, the first time is always free. I can see anything you dream in the clouds. Thank you. So I have another story for you. That one was one of the very first lies I ever wrote. I was hosting a house concert with Paul Strickland, Cooper Brown, and Rachel Ann Harding, and I knew that it was going to be quite the over-the-top evening, and so I wrote that for that show. But this one is brand new. No one has heard it, not even my usual suspect. I usually try things out on Kevin. Have you ever lost like an earring or a button, maybe a special coin, something that doesn't really matter that much in your life, but you're sorry it's gone? Well, that happened to me. It was a couple of months ago. I was out for a walk, and it was one of those days in Boulder where the wind is pretty chilly, the sun is warm, and when the wind dies down, you got to take off a couple layers. And I got home and I realized that one of my earrings was missing. And this was a pair of earrings that I had gotten in Spain when we went to collect our daughter after her semester abroad. It was a silver earring, nothing fancy, but something I really liked. So I bundled up again. Well, I checked everything first. Of course, the scarf, the hat, the jacket, didn't find it. So I bundled back up and I went out to retrace my steps. And I got around the block to the neighbor who's behind us, and there's a tree in their yard, and I'm just scanning back and forth, looking in the gutter and the sidewalk and the lawn. And then there's a squirrel right in front of me. And it runs right up to me, right up to my shoes. And I take a couple steps back because, well, in Colorado, you got to be a little careful. Every once in a while, one of the squirrels turns up with bubonic plague. You don't want to mess around with that. And I kept backing up and it kept chasing me. I tried stomping my feet and it wouldn't back down. I looked a little more closely. It had a notch out of one ear, was missing a patch of fur. It kind of looked like some kind of mafia boss, tomcat kind of thing going on. So I quit the field. I just turned around and came home. But I was still feeling really bummed about losing my earring. Well, that night I was scrolling through social media, which I do way too much, and I saw one of those videos